This isn't a song anyone knows. Oh, hey. I'm making breakfast. Do you want anything? Who am I? How rude. I'm your personalized chef for the day. Well, what reason do you have to think I'm here? How did I get in? You know, a guy just tries to do something nice for somebody and it's all suspicion and anger and, oh, how did you get in here? Can't you just accept that something good is happening in a cruel world and, you know, go with it? Thoughts? Opinions? Well, all I'm saying is, things could be a lot worse. No, it's not a threat. It's just the reality. A handsome stranger is making breakfast for you. What's wrong with that? What's bad about that? Well, you don't know me yet. Let's give ourselves a bit of time, you know? We can acclimate to each other, share a nice meal, and then be on our ways. Oh, all this suspicion. Again, just good things happen to good people. That's all I have to say. Something tells you that's not all I have to say. Well, you may be right. It's all I have to say on this particular subject, on this line of questioning. The dialogue tree is finished. Well, anyways, is there anything you particularly fancy for breakfast? I am a keen hand with a knife. I don't know why you keep interpreting everything as a threat. If I wanted to threaten you, I believe I'd be the first person to know. Well then, have I been anything apart from cordial, in fact inviting? I set out to make a lovely meal for you. The smell is amazing, which is why you've wandered into this room, presumably. And here we are. Oh, don't play daft with me. You know the smell's absolutely excellent. Yeah, well, there's no accounting for bad taste, I suppose. Hey. Look, it's a story to tell people. This random guy appeared through mysterious means of mystery, making me breakfast. We sat and had breakfast, then he sorted off. I mean, is that not an interesting story? And people could have so many questions. You'll be the life of every party. It'll be great, you know? And you'll be there looking resplendent, as I assume you would be. And all people would all want to talk to you about this strange story of yours. You can make me Zorro in the story if you want. It's up to you. Well, I don't have a sword, but I am better looking, so, you know. Yeah, I'm better looking than a fictional character. Do you know what it is? Because I'm real. I am a living being. And that is why I'm better looking. Because I physically exist. And I refuse to believe in a world where people find cartoons attractive. Yes, well, that may well be my delusion, but allow me to have it, would you? What am I doing here? I think I've answered this question quite a few times. I'm making breakfast. Why is this continuously questioned? The answer is so obvious. I mean, look, here's the breakfast being made. Why does this need explanation? This doesn't need explanation. Ask me a different question. I dare you. What do I do for a living? I redistribute wealth. Yeah. It's very noble, actually. I'm basically like a tax man, but more precise and, less corrupt. Well, if the average person pays 40% tax rate, well, maybe not the average person, but if well-earning people pay 40% tax rate and Google pays 3%, that seems a bit corrupt to me. Well, I'm halfway to that. I alleviate people of... Let's put it this way. You know those television shows where these hoarders reveal all this stuff they have that they never use and never need, and the whole premise of the show is that they go into these ridiculous houses with just tons and tons of stuff in it, and they get the people to throw it all out? Yeah, that's kind of what I do. I go to a hoarder's house and, I get rid of some stuff for them that they don't need. Because I'm a gentleman and a scholar, that's why. Why else? Look, I don't know what you're accusing me of at the moment. I will have you know that I am just a humble breakfast maker. You're making all these wild assumptions. And my character, my honor is being insulted. How very droll. What act? If you think this personality is an act, oh dear. You clearly have not been to the theatre. My acting is vastly superior. Or maybe it's just my personality. Oh, thief is such an ugly word. I prefer... What do I prefer? Well, no one really calls me nice things when they find that out. Shall we say... a dexterous marvel? A superhero-like sneaker? An RPG character maxed out on stealth? Just the goddamn greatest to ever do it? Well, put it this way, the only reason you know that I was in your house last night is because I'm in your house this morning making breakfast. You have a very, very overpriced alarm system. I am saying you shouldn't pay for that alarm system, yes. Why? Because I'm here. It was hardly Fort Knox getting in here. Yeah, well, I'm just saying, it's a crappy alarm system. What'd you want me to say? Anyway, I would invest in, anything else really. I would have tried a box with a stick, and a plate of free food, quote unquote. That would have been more effective. I'm just saying, anyone worth their salt breaking in here will walk past that alarm system if it's basically like it's not there. Because for all intents and purposes, it, isn't. What's a good alarm system? A guard dog. Well, my own dog, I suspect, upon seeing a stranger in the premises, would go jump on them, not to attack them, but to wag her tail at them and lick them and, you know, welcome them to the building. Ooh, a new person. New people. Oh, someone new to pet me. Ooh, new scent. Ooh, new person. Wag, 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 wag. You know, normal dog stuff. But if, you know, you're serious about not wanting something like this to happen again, and I mean, I would be just so hurt. Because, let's face it, I'm wonderful. Why would you not want me here again? But if you were so uptight as to not want a charming rogue like myself to wander in from time to time, yeah, the guard dog. Well, I'm not saying the dogs are perfect. I'm just saying they're better than what you have. Would a guard dog stop me? Well, you just have to get one to find out. Anyway. Find out, yeah. Well, look, if you buy a guard dog, I'll have to test it for you. It's only courteous. A man with a gun. I think a man with a gun is quite expensive. Also, then there's just a man with a gun in your house while you're sleeping, and I mean, I wouldn't be comfortable with that. No, I don't have a gun. Don't need one. Because there's no man with a gun here. Why would I need a gun? I'm not planning to... If I had to fire a gun, I've staggeringly failed. I don't know what you take me for. I am not a murderer. I do not harm people. Well, financially, I suppose, but outside of that. And here's the fun thing. For someone of my talent, there's not really any point into breaking into... How do I put this? Average homes. I have no interest in stealing someone's family photos. I try to find out through networks of whispers who has disposable goods of great value. Even better if it's someone who truly does not deserve them. And they tend to have more challenging homes to break into, hence more fun. So why am I here? Well, I think I was given a poor tip, shall we say. I'm surprised you haven't asked the most obvious question. If I were you, I'd have asked, what have you stolen? And the answer is nothing. And I say that with the greatest of sincerity. Your house, everything, is as you left it when you went to sleep. I realized that this was not a fair tip. And so I've taken nothing, because why would I? It's not... Okay, let's clear something up. I am not some run-of-the-mill thug. I'm an artist. I don't need the money. I just get bored not doing this. I am, how do we put it, phenomenally successful at what I do. Occasionally I even get a contract to do what I do. And if the person I'm contracted to alleviate items from is enough of a tosser, I tend to take the contract. Why not be paid twice in some ways? Once for getting rid of something that someone clearly didn't need, and once in actual money. Now, if you do this enough times, you get to the stage where You're not really worried about your finances anymore. Swiss banks are a truly wonderful thing, let me tell you. And so, at this point, it's just something to do for fun. Which is also why I can afford to come in here and go, oh, well, this person doesn't have an excess of things. The things you do have look like they mean something to you, so will you leave them alone? No, you're not supposed to believe I'm some sort of Robin Hood. The very, very overtold joke at this point, going that I'm half of Robin Hood. I do steal from the rich. Yeah. Oh, don't underrate your own property so much. You're in a prime location. You'd be surprised. Sometimes there's a certain type of wealthy person who's, of course, extremely obnoxious in how they flaunt their wealth. They're the ones in the big houses that, funnily enough, half the time they can't even really afford. Yet, you'd be amazed how often you basically get Scrooge types living in very understated accommodation, sitting on a pile of gold like a proverbial dragon. You'd be amazed. Look, are we going to eat this breakfast or not? Is this a quiz? I've never actually seen an interrogation room. I wonder what they look like. Well, I wonder if it's like TV, you know, the swinging light and all that kind of stuff. I have never seen an interrogation room. I've been interrogated, but not through normal networks. Oh, they didn't take much, just my thumbs. Well. The good news is that breakfast is served. Lucky you. I do think it smells good. But then I would know, to be honest. Well, an old story of spending time around some chefs. Oh, don't worry about it. Good old days in some ways, when I was only starting out. I know I'm not that old, but this is a career you can start very young. With nifty hands and a wide enough smile. Kinda works all the way up for the most part. So anyway, you know, I will say, you've taken to this idea of breakfast rather well. I was half expecting, oh, I'm going to call the police, you know. Well, it would be rather pointless to call the police, because obviously I can leave before they ever get here, before they get close to here. They won't find any evidence I was here. You don't have cameras. Because I know you don't have cameras. And what if you pulled out your phone to film me? That would be a very unfortunate situation. The good news is not only would I be able to alleviate you said phone if I chose to, I could also just get an associate to wipe that phone. Now, there would be a lot of happy memories on that phone, I assume pictures or text messages to loved ones or whatever else. I'm sure you wouldn't want to lose. So, between me and you, it's a bad idea. Let's just keep the phone in the pocket, shall we? So why am I making breakfast? See, you never opened with that. That would have been my earliest question. Why am I making breakfast? To be honest with you, it's not my regular thing to do. But once I realised this was not, that my princess was in another castle, I overheard you, well, seemingly having a nightmare. And in much a way you would sort of check in on someone you care about. I don't know. I guess a certain emotion stirred in me of wanting to look after you. As bizarre as that probably sounds to you. Well, not to be too... not to be invasive, says the man in your house without permission. But it seemed... I mean, even just little telltale signs about the house, to be honest with you. The way certain objects are strewn about, the way... It's amazing what you can tell about people's lives, both long and short term, from just observing what they do with where they live. And, well, your place kind of says... kind of says I'm struggling, if I'm being honest. Not necessarily in societal terms or financial terms, just, well, emotional. I don't know, there's certain things I do that I've seen here. It's almost a psychological trick. I'd rather not give up this particular lesson of the trade, I suppose. But I would most certainly suggest that, well, that we could talk about these things. Believe it or not, in my private life, I'm rather a good shoulder to lean on. And my impression is that you could use one. You can tell me if I'm wrong. And then there's just the kind of age-old thing. I don't know, as I say, I checked in your bed and, well... I guess my heart fluttered a bit. I'm just... I'm just saying that, I don't know. I kind of occasionally get these feelings towards people. No, not love at first sight. Just a kind of, I don't know, empathetic feeling. Especially with someone new. And I got it in spades with you. I don't know why. I don't know what it was about you, but I looked in on you and you were kind of fitful and restless, and just something about, I guess, everything I'd seen about you to this point without even having spoken to you. It just felt like an... Not in profession, not in terms of personality or upbringing or any of these kind of things, but in some way, in some sense that's hard to explain, I just knew it was a kindred spirit. Someone who I would be able to understand, someone who would be able to understand me. And to be honest with you, rather than, I mean, the breakfast thing was just like, well, this is an absurd situation. I kind of seem to have an immediate crush on someone in this situation. So I might as well lean into the absurdity and just go with it, you know? Yeah, well, I definitely appreciate the somewhat open-mindedness. I don't know what else to say. I don't know, just had this feeling that we would get on well, ultimately, that if we'd met in a different circumstance at a dinner party or something, that I would have wanted to strike up a conversation with you, and I would have tried to be charming and suave and all this stuff. And in the end, I would hope to be those things, but I was here, I wasn't going to sit around and hope for another chance someday, somewhere down the line. It's just, okay, well, I'm here. The time is now. At the end of the day, if I'm ever to have a long-term, successful relationship, they're going to have to know what I do. My story to an extent. I mean, sure, all the flings and interesting goings on, the true top-class thief's plight. I remember certain dalliances with, how do I put it, trophy of a spouse. A person who was putting on a face to the wider world that their partner, this wonderful high figure in society, everyone knows this person, and oh, they're so wonderful, and isn't their relationship great? And the reality is also very different. Sometimes letting a bird out of a cage for an unexpected half an hour in the night is the most fun that bird has in a long, long time. You'd be amazed how certain sabotaging acts are actually applauded by those near the person. Yeah, well, politicians aren't all very nice, so there's also been a few instances of that. I mean, I've mostly been employed to take things out of households, but occasionally I'm employed to put things in. A incriminating document, a scandalous document, and then authorities get an anonymous tip, of course. I do sometimes wonder if it's, well, the person who would be best positioned to bring certain people down is those closest to them, though. I sometimes wonder if the partners have anything to do with it. There's one I'm very confident did. Oh, they wanted their partner gone, And then, well, they're this horribly disadvantaged, abused person, and everyone's going to look at them well, and they're going to be able to swan off into the sunset with the money and social repute, especially when they testify how they were threatened and bullied and cajoled. Well, I hope you enjoyed your breakfast. I have plenty more stories I would love to tell you. Especially while you look at me with those eyes and smile like that. It's, all the stuff I've had happen to me. All the nonsense places I've been and flings I've had, and I would say, impressive collection of people I've met in this aspect, and yet I don't know, somehow my whole lookout on all this stuff just flipped in the space of a few hours, from seeing you to making you breakfast that really even I can't fully explain why I decided to do this. I just followed a strange instinct. That if we were ever going to work, of course, it'd be abnormal. And at the end of the day, you'd have to have a adventurous soul. So, put it this way. Get yourself a nice guard dog. Not one that just wants to bite everything that moves, mind you, because that's one of the mistakes that people make. They just get a vicious dog and think it's a guard dog. No, get a properly trained one. You can use all the money I left you. And, you know, if you happen to have a very experienced guard dog move in, I can come back and test the new security system, I suppose. We can discuss it over breakfast, or maybe dinner. Dinner and a movie. In a whole new and strange way, even for me. Anyway, you should think about that guard dog. It might be the start of an incredibly interesting period in both our lives. And nothing else, it beats Tinder. Well, I'll be on my way. Yeah, I mean, this is only episode 1. Let's face it. We gotta leave something for the sequel, right? I'm glad you understand. I'll be seeing you.